Communication is the bridge between isolation and connection. It is the key to influence, to understanding, to trust. But most people don't understand it. They only speak, not knowing how to truly connect. This book will teach you the art of communication, not just with words, but with presence, emotion, and energy. You'll learn the secrets behind the words people speak and the unspoken language that shapes every interaction. Subscribe now and get ready to unlock the doors to better relationships, stronger influence, and deeper human connections. Your transformation starts here. Chapter 1. The Power of Presence in Communication. Communication begins before you even speak. It begins with presence. Presence is the energy you bring into a room. It's the calm in your eyes, the confidence in your posture, the warmth in your voice. Before words are spoken, your presence tells a story. In a world full of distractions, the most influential people are those who know how to be present. They make others feel seen, heard, and understood, not through their words, but through their attention. Most people fail to communicate because they don't know how to be there. They're thinking about what to say next. They're concerned about how they look. They're distracted by their own inner noise. But social masters know that presence speaks louder than any sentence. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. When you're present, you're not just physically in the room. You're mentally and emotionally engaged. Your attention isn't divided between the conversation and your worries. You're completely attuned to the moment. This deep presence invites others to do the same. It makes people feel comfortable, safe, connected. People follow those who make them feel understood, and understanding begins with presence. Being present means actively listening, without judgment, without interruption, without the need to fix or advise. The truly present listener isn't thinking about their own response. They're absorbed in the speaker's words, in their tone, in their body language. They're absorbing the entire message, not just the words. In every conversation, people are not only saying something, they're feeling something. And to connect deeply, you need to tune into both the verbal and non-verbal message. The magic of presence lies in the ability to listen with empathy. It's not about hearing words. It's about feeling the emotion behind the words. This level of listening requires emotional intelligence. It requires awareness of both your own emotions and the emotions of others. You must be able to read subtle cues, a slight shift in tone, a small gesture, an underlying fear or excitement in the words spoken. Most people don't even realize how much of communication is non-verbal. Studies show that up to 93% of communication is body language and tone, while only 7% is the actual words used. This means that when you communicate, your presence speaks volumes. It shapes how your message is received. It determines whether people feel understood or unheard. True communication happens when two people are in sync, when their energy aligns, when both people feel seen in the interaction. That's when trust is built. That's when connection happens. But this kind of presence doesn't happen by accident. It requires practice. It requires awareness of your own emotional state. It requires focus. When you focus your energy on the person you're communicating with, you make them feel important. You make them feel valued. You make them feel like they matter. Presence means putting your phone down, putting your distractions aside, and giving your full attention to the moment at hand. When you do this, people can't help but be drawn to you. They feel safe in your presence. They feel respected. They feel heard. The power of presence is that it creates space for others to express themselves fully. When you're truly present, you don't rush the conversation. You don't interrupt. You don't jump in with solutions. You hold the space. You let the other person feel seen and heard, and this creates a deeper connection than any words ever could. Presence is also about emotional control. You don't let the emotions of the moment control you. You stay grounded, calm, and centered. When you're present, you make people feel safe to be themselves. They let their guard down. They become more authentic. And this authenticity creates stronger relationships. People trust those who make them feel comfortable enough to be real. A person's presence is their emotional footprint. It's how they make others feel. It's how they enter a room and how they leave it. When someone leaves a conversation feeling energized, empowered, and understood, that is the power of presence. That is the art of communication at its deepest level. But presence is not just about being calm or focused. It's also about being authentic. Authenticity amplifies the impact of presence. People trust you when you show up as yourself, without pretense, without fear. Authenticity is magnetic. It draws people in because it feels real. It feels safe. It feels like permission for them to be themselves. When you're authentic, your words and energy align. There's no gap between what you say and who you are. You create a seamless experience for others. Social masters are masters of authenticity. They communicate without masks, without filters. They speak their truth without fear of judgment. And this truth resonates. People are drawn to the authenticity of their presence. They trust them. They follow them. But authenticity requires emotional courage. It requires vulnerability. And vulnerability requires confidence in yourself. When you show up authentically, you give others permission to do the same. And that's where true connection begins. The beauty of presence is that it doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be flashy. It simply needs to be real. It needs to be engaged. It needs to be present. When you master presence, you unlock the power to influence, to connect, to lead. Because presence is the foundation of all communication. It is the unseen force that makes everything you say and do more powerful. It gives your words weight. It gives your energy authority. It makes your presence unforgettable. So the next time you step into a room, pause and check your presence. Make sure it is grounded. Make sure it is calm. Make sure it is authentic, because your presence will speak before your words do, and it will leave an impact long after you've left the room. Master your presence, and you'll master the art of communication. Chapter 2: The Science of Listening. Most people think communication begins when they speak, but it actually begins when they listen. Listening is not passive. It is not waiting for your turn to talk. Listening is an active, deliberate process, one that requires full attention and emotional presence. True listening is not just hearing words. It is understanding the meaning behind the words and feeling the emotion behind the silence. The science of listening is rooted in empathy and focus. It requires understanding the speaker's internal world, their perspective, their needs, and their unspoken cues. Listening is the foundation of all great communication. You cannot connect with someone unless you listen to them. And you cannot influence someone unless they feel heard. But in a world full of distractions, true listening is a rare art. Most of us are distracted by our thoughts, our phones, or our own judgments. We listen to reply, not to understand. But great communicators know this. To truly understand someone, you must first silence your own mind. The first step in listening is presence. When you give someone your full attention, they feel seen, they feel valued, they feel understood. Your body language tells them everything. Your eye contact, your posture, your facial expressions, they all show whether you are truly engaged. Social masters understand the power of presence in listening. They lean in slightly. They soften their tone. They remove distractions. They create a space for the other person to speak freely. Listening is not about waiting for a pause so you can speak. It is about understanding the emotion beneath the words, the fear behind the hesitation, the excitement behind the rush. When you listen actively, you tune into more than what is said. You hear the unspoken. A pause before an answer can speak more than 1,000 words. A trembling voice can say more than confidence ever could. A long silence can hold more meaning than a quick response. Listening is about tuning into those moments. It is about understanding the rhythm of a conversation, where emotion ebbs and flows, and knowing exactly when to speak, when to pause, and when to remain silent. It's also about recognizing that not everyone speaks the same way. Some people speak directly, others speak indirectly. Some people speak fast, others speak slow. Some speak through their body language, while others speak with words. A true listener understands these differences. They adapt to the rhythm of the conversation. They shift their own energy to match the speaker's. But listening is not just about emotional attunement. It's about cognitive understanding. You cannot listen with your heart alone. You must also listen with your mind. The human brain is wired to listen for patterns. We listen for familiar sounds. We listen for danger. We listen for comfort. We listen for the underlying message, what is being said and what is not being said. This is why great listeners catch things others don't. They hear the smallest details that tell the bigger story. They understand when someone is hiding something, when someone is holding back, when someone is not being completely honest. But the greatest listeners are not judgmental. They don't assume. They don't interrupt. They don't fill silence with their own thoughts. They stay open. Listening is about making space for someone else's thoughts to be heard. It's about accepting their reality, even if you don't fully understand it. It's about allowing the other person to express themselves fully, without correction or interruption. The best listeners are the ones who can hear without reacting. They understand that a person's emotions are not their responsibility to fix, but their responsibility to respect. When you listen with empathy, you don't try to solve the problem right away. You give the person space to speak, to feel, and to think. Only after they feel heard will they be open to your insight. Good listening also involves curiosity. You must be genuinely interested in what the other person is saying. Curiosity shifts you from a passive listener to an active one. An active listener doesn't just absorb information. They ask questions. They seek understanding. They dig deeper. Great listeners ask open-ended questions, not to interrogate, but to guide the conversation toward clarity. Can you tell me more about that? What made you feel that way? How did you experience that? These questions create a space for deeper connection, for greater understanding. They help you to uncover the layers beneath the surface. But curiosity is not just about asking questions. It's also about curiosity about yourself. The best listeners are not only curious about others, they're curious about their own reactions. They pay attention to how their own biases, assumptions, and emotions affect how they listen. Self-awareness is critical to effective listening. If you are judging the speaker or planning your response before they've finished speaking, you are not truly listening. Effective listeners are aware of their own internal state. They notice when they are distracted, when they are forming judgments, or when they are feeling impatient. They use this awareness to remain open and focused. Listening also involves listening to silence. Not all communication happens in words. The pauses between words speak volumes. The space in between sentences holds meaning. The silence between your thoughts and the speaker's words is a place where emotional understanding blooms. Listening to silence means paying attention to what's not being said. It means noticing the discomfort, the hesitation, the unspoken question. This is why the best listeners are the ones who make space for silence. They don't rush to fill every pause. They let the silence speak, because silence always carries a message. People feel safe when they are truly listened to. And when people feel safe, they open up, they share more deeply, they trust more fully. This is the power of listening. It builds trust. And it deepens connection. It fosters understanding. So listen actively, listen attentively, listen with your heart and your mind. Because when you listen like this, you don't just hear, you understand, and understanding is the key to all meaningful connection. Chapter 3. The Art of Non-Verbal Communication. Communication is not just about words. It's the way you hold your body, the way you look at someone, the way you move in a room. Non-verbal communication speaks louder than anything you could say. Before your words ever leave your mouth, your body is already saying everything about you. It is in the way you stand, the way you gesture, the way your eyes engage. It is in the pauses, the glances, the subtle shifts in energy. Non-verbal communication is the unspoken language that shapes every interaction. It is the silent force that either strengthens or weakens your message. People react to energy before they react to words. They feel your presence, your mood, your intention, all before you speak. Non-verbal communication carries a message in every interaction. It tells whether you are open or closed, interested or distracted, confident or insecure. Your body communicates emotions, your body communicates thoughts, and it communicates intention. A smile may say, "I'm friendly," but a tense jaw says, "I'm nervous." A steady eye contact says, "I'm listening," but shifting eyes say, "I'm unsure." The subtle signals you send create a narrative far beyond your words. Social masters understand the importance of non-verbal communication. They understand that their body tells a story, and they use this knowledge to their advantage. The first step in mastering non-verbal communication is awareness. You must become aware of how your body speaks. You must observe the movements, the gestures, the shifts in your posture. A lot of the time, your body is communicating things you're not even aware of. A clenched fist says you're angry, even if you're not speaking. A stiff posture says you're uncomfortable, even if you're smiling. The key is to align your body with your words. When your body language matches what you're saying, your communication is strong. When they don't align, your message gets lost. For example, if you're saying, "I'm fine," but your body is tense, people will know you're not fine. Your body is revealing the truth. Social masters understand that words are just part of the equation. It is their non-verbal cues that create trust. People don't trust words alone. They trust what their body tells them. Non-verbal communication also plays a key role in emotional intelligence. It helps you understand not only what others are feeling, but what you are feeling. It helps you recognize when emotions are rising, when tension is building, and when empathy is needed. By observing non-verbal cues, you can sense whether someone is feeling safe, open, or defensive. You can sense if someone is eager to listen, or if they are ready to shut down. This awareness makes you a better communicator. You know when to pause. You know when to speak. You know when to change your tone or gesture. You know when to pull back and give space. Non-verbal cues also reveal intention. When people are interested, they lean forward. When they're comfortable, they relax. When they're closed off, they cross their arms. Social masters read these signals intuitively. They sense the emotional landscape before words even come into play. Non-verbal communication can also be used to build rapport instantly. Mirroring someone's body language creates an immediate sense of connection. When you subtly reflect the posture or gestures of the person you're speaking to, it builds trust and comfort. But this must be done naturally. Too much mirroring feels forced. Too little feels disconnected. The magic happens when you match the rhythm without imitating. This creates harmony in the conversation. Once where both people feel emotionally aligned. A person who leans in while talking creates warmth. A person who gestures while speaking adds energy to the conversation. A person who maintains open posture creates an atmosphere of trust. And the most powerful form of non-verbal communication is eye contact. Eyes are the window to the soul. When you maintain steady, warm eye contact, you communicate respect and attention. When your eyes shift away, you communicate disinterest. When your eyes dart nervously, you communicate insecurity. The way you look at someone sets the tone of the conversation. It shows them whether you're really listening, whether you care, whether you value their words. Non-verbal communication also helps you establish emotional boundaries. When you're not emotionally engaged, your body signals it. You fold your arms, you look away, you pull back from the interaction. But when you engage with intention, your posture opens, your body leans in, your eyes focus, your tone softens. These non-verbal signals make the other person feel safe. They feel heard, seen, respected. This is why non-verbal communication is a powerful tool in managing social dynamics. When you want to de-escalate a tense conversation, you use calming body language. You open your posture. You lower your voice. You slow your movements. When you want to build excitement or engagement, you use energetic gestures. You lean forward. You speak with enthusiasm. You move with purpose. Nonverbal communication is also a key to influencing and persuading. People listen to what you say, but they react to how you make them feel, and the way you make them feel is largely shaped by your body language. The more confident your body language, the more confident others will feel in your words. The more open your posture, the more open others will be to your message. Your body language will either enhance your message or undermine it. If your body language contradicts your words, people will believe the body language. Your words may say one thing, but your body will tell the truth. This is why social masters are always aware of their physical state. They make sure their body language matches their emotional message. They align their posture with their purpose. They match their gestures with their intention. The art of nonverbal communication is also the art of presence. When you show up fully, your body reflects that presence. You walk with intention. You speak with purpose. You listen with empathy. This presence fills the room. It makes your communication more powerful, more influential. It makes you memorable. Social masters understand the power of silence too. Not every message needs words. Sometimes a pause speaks louder than a sentence. Sometimes a look is more powerful than a speech. By practicing nonverbal communication, you become more aware of your emotional influence. You stop relying on words alone to convey your message. You start using your body, your face, your energy to speak the truth behind your words. Nonverbal communication is the key to emotional connection. It is the key to influence. It is the key to mastering every interaction. When you master the art of nonverbal communication, you unlock the true power of connection. Because connection happens when words align with energy, when intention aligns with presence. This is the essence of great communication, and once you understand it, you carry it with you in every room, in every conversation, in every relationship. Because in the end, what you say matters. But how you make people feel, that's what stays with them. Chapter 4. The Power of Emotional Connection. Emotions are the heartbeat of every connection. They are the invisible threads that weave people together, binding them in ways words cannot describe. When we connect emotionally, it's as if we're speaking a deeper language, one that goes beyond logic and reason. It speaks to the core of who we are. In a world dominated by words, it's easy to forget the power of emotions. But real communication happens when we engage the heart, when we tap into the feelings behind the words. Emotional connection is the magic that makes relationships strong. It's the force that creates trust, builds intimacy, and fosters understanding. Without emotional connection, communication is just an exchange of facts, a transaction of information. But with emotional connection, communication becomes transformative. The strongest relationships are built not on shared interests or mutual respect, but on shared emotions. When people feel emotionally connected, they feel safe, valued, and understood. And this safety creates space for growth, for vulnerability, and for deep connection. Emotional connection is a two-way street. It's not enough to simply feel connected. You must also make the other person feel the same. You must engage their emotions and allow them to engage yours. True emotional connection starts with empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It's not about agreeing with someone or solving their problems, but about walking in their shoes, feeling their joy, feeling their pain. Empathy is the foundation of trust. When people know you understand them, they open up. When they feel seen, heard, and validated, they begin to trust you on a deeper level. But empathy isn't just about listening with your ears. It's about listening with your heart. It's about tuning into the subtle emotional signals people send. The tone of their voice, the look in their eyes, the way their body moves. Most people don't express their emotions directly. They mask them with words, with actions, with distractions. But when you learn to read between the lines, you begin to hear what's truly being said. Social masters understand that emotional connection goes beyond words. They feel the energy of the room, the emotional undercurrent of every conversation. They notice the small shifts in body language, the subtle changes in tone, the fleeting moments of vulnerability. When you are emotionally connected to someone, you are more than just a listener. You are a mirror. You reflect their emotions back to them, showing them that you truly understand. And when they feel understood, they open up even more. They share their thoughts, their dreams, their fears. This emotional exchange is the key to deep, meaningful relationships. Without it, we remain strangers, unable to truly connect. But with it, we become partners, friends, lovers, colleagues, people who see each other for who they truly are. Building emotional connection requires patience. It requires the ability to be fully present, without judgment, without rushing to fix. It requires the willingness to sit with someone's emotions, even when they're uncomfortable, even when they're messy. Emotional connection isn't always easy. It requires vulnerability, the courage to open up and share your own emotions. It requires risk, the risk of being hurt, the risk of rejection, the risk of disappointment. But the rewards of emotional connection far outweigh the risks. When you connect emotionally with someone, you create a bond that cannot be broken by distance, time, or circumstance. You create a bond that transcends surface-level conversation, a bond that grows deeper with each shared experience, each shared emotion. And the more emotionally connected you are to someone, the more resilient your relationship becomes. Challenges and misunderstandings become easier to navigate because the emotional connection creates a foundation of trust and understanding. Emotional connection also enhances communication. When you are emotionally connected, you don't just listen to the words being said, you listen to the feelings behind them. You hear the unspoken words, the things that aren't said aloud but are still felt. This makes your responses more compassionate, more empathetic, more understanding. You don't just answer with facts, you answer with care, with awareness, with love. Emotional connection is also about emotional vulnerability. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you give others permission to do the same. You show them that it's okay to be imperfect, to be scared, to be human. This vulnerability builds trust, and trust is the foundation of every strong relationship. Without trust, there is no connection, but when trust is present, the connection deepens, the bond strengthens, and the relationship flourishes. Emotional connection also requires emotional regulation. When you are in tune with your emotions, you are better able to navigate complex social situations. You are less likely to react impulsively and more likely to respond with clarity, compassion, and understanding. Social masters understand their own emotional landscape. They know when they are feeling triggered, and they know how to calm themselves before reacting. They also know how to create emotional balance in others, helping them regulate their emotions and maintain a calm, open state. This emotional regulation enhances connection because it allows both parties to be present without the interference of uncontrolled emotions. But emotional connection isn't just about regulating your own emotions. It's about helping others regulate theirs. Sometimes people don't need advice. They don't need solutions. They just need to feel understood. They need someone to hold space for their emotions, to listen without judgment, to offer empathy without trying to fix them. In those moments, emotional connection becomes healing. You offer the greatest gift you can give, the gift of truly being present with someone, no matter where they are emotionally. This presence creates a safe space for growth. It creates a sense of belonging. It creates a deep, lasting bond that goes beyond words. As you grow in your ability to connect emotionally, you start to see the world differently. You begin to see the emotional landscape of every conversation, every relationship, every interaction. You stop focusing on the surface-level interactions, and you start focusing on the emotions driving them. You start to understand what people really need, what they're really saying, what they're really feeling. This level of emotional awareness transforms your relationships. You no longer take things personally. You no longer feel misunderstood. You no longer feel disconnected. Instead, you feel connected to everyone you meet. You feel deeply attuned to their emotions, their needs, their hearts. And as you master the art of emotional connection, you unlock the true power of communication, because when people feel emotionally connected to you, they listen more, they trust more, they open up more, and in that connection, you can influence, you can lead, you can love. This is the power of emotional connection. It is the foundation of all true communication, and the secret to unlocking human potential. Chapter 5. The role of vulnerability in building connection. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is strength. It is the quiet power that comes when you allow yourself to be seen as you truly are, imperfections and all. Most people hide their vulnerabilities. They protect themselves with masks of strength, independence, and control. They fear that exposing their weaknesses will make them unworthy of connection, unworthy of love, unworthy of respect. But true connection happens not in perfection, but in imperfection. It happens when we allow ourselves to be human. Vulnerability is the bridge between isolation and intimacy. It is the door that opens to deep, meaningful relationships. When we are vulnerable, we show others who we really are. We let them see our fears, our doubts, our scars. We let them know we don't have it all figured out. And in that act of sharing, we create the space for others to do the same. Vulnerability is not about oversharing or seeking pity. It's about being honest about your emotional truth, without the need to hide behind walls or facades. When you open yourself up to others, you invite them to open up to you. And when they do, you create a bond that goes beyond surface-level interactions. The most powerful connections are built on shared vulnerability. When two people feel safe enough to show their true selves, they connect on a deeper level. They move beyond the roles they play, beyond the masks they wear, and they become human together. This kind of connection is rare, but it is also the most meaningful. Vulnerability requires courage. It requires the courage to let go of the need for control, the courage to admit that you don't have all the answers, the courage to be seen in your most raw and real state. But vulnerability is also what makes you relatable. It makes you human. It makes you someone people can connect with on a heart level. People are drawn to those who are open and authentic, not because they're perfect, but because they're real. They can feel the truth in your words, the honesty in your energy, the rawness in your presence. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you create a space where others feel safe to be vulnerable too. This is where trust begins. Trust is built on the foundation of vulnerability. When you expose your true self, you invite others to do the same, and in that mutual exchange, a deep and lasting trust is formed. Vulnerability also invites empathy. When you show your vulnerabilities, you create the opportunity for others to understand your emotions, your struggles, your journey. And when people understand you, they can empathize with you. They can offer support, comfort, and understanding. Vulnerability is not just about what you say, it's about what you allow others to feel. It's the emotional invitation you extend that says, I am here, I am real, and I am open to connecting with you. The beauty of vulnerability is that it deepens the connection between people. It makes you more than just acquaintances. It makes you partners in the human experience. But vulnerability isn't just about sharing your struggles. It's also about sharing your hopes, your dreams, your desires. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable in this way, you invite others into your world, a world that is filled with passion, ambition, and the potential for growth. This kind of vulnerability fosters mutual understanding, allowing both people to learn from each other, support each other, and grow together. But vulnerability is not just about others, it is about you. By being vulnerable, you give yourself permission to be authentic. You give yourself permission to stop hiding behind masks, to stop pretending to be something you're not, to stop playing a role for the sake of fitting in. This is how you step into your true self. And when you do, you unlock a level of confidence that comes from acceptance, from self-awareness, and from emotional freedom. Being vulnerable is an act of self-love. It is the courage to accept yourself completely, to be kind to yourself in your flaws, and to embrace the journey of growth without fear of judgment. When you accept your own vulnerability, you stop being afraid of what others may think of you. You stop worrying about their opinions, their judgments, their expectations. And in doing so, you become free, you become powerful, you become unstoppable. Vulnerability allows you to connect with others in ways that are meaningful, honest, and transformative. It takes your relationships to a deeper level, one that is based on trust, honesty, and authenticity. When you show up vulnerably, you invite others to show up as well, and together, you create a bond that goes beyond what words can express. This connection is real, it is raw, it is beautiful, and it is what makes life truly worth living. But there is also a danger in vulnerability. It requires trust. It requires the courage to be open, but also the wisdom to protect yourself when necessary. Vulnerability can only thrive in safe spaces. It cannot flourish in environments where trust is broken, where respect is lacking, where emotional safety is not present. You must know when to be vulnerable and when to protect your energy. You must know when to open up and when to close off. This balance is where true emotional intelligence lies. It is where you protect your heart while allowing it to be shared with those who will honor it. Vulnerability is not about exposure. It is about connection. It is about giving yourself permission to be real so that you can create meaningful, authentic relationship with the people who matter most. In the end, vulnerability is the gateway to the most profound human experiences. It's the gateway to love, to trust, to empathy, to connection. And once you embrace it, once you step into the power of vulnerability, you will never look back. Chapter 6. Building Trust Through Vulnerability. Trust is not given, it is earned. And the most powerful way to earn trust is not through grand gestures, but through vulnerability. Vulnerability is the bridge that connects us to others. It's the raw, honest part of ourselves that we share, without the armor, without the masks, without the defenses. It's the moment when we stop hiding our flaws, our fears, our insecurities, and allow others to see us for who we truly are. When you show up vulnerably, you give others permission to do the same. You create a space where both parties can be authentic, and that authenticity forms the foundation of trust. But vulnerability isn't easy. It's one of the hardest things to offer, because it exposes our deepest truths, and with that exposure comes the fear of rejection. We fear that if we show our real selves, we'll be judged, we'll be criticized, we'll be dismissed. But this fear is what keeps us from building meaningful relationships. The truth is, people are drawn to vulnerability. They are drawn to those who are willing to be real, who are willing to share their truth, who are willing to be human. When you show up vulnerably, you stop trying to control how others perceive you. You stop trying to be perfect, to be flawless, to be something you're not. You stop pretending to be invulnerable because you understand that true strength lies in embracing your imperfections. This shift in mindset is key to building trust. When you accept yourself fully, others can see your humanity. They can see your strength in your honesty, and they can see your bravery in your openness. Trust is built on honesty, and vulnerability is the deepest form of honesty. It's the willingness to let people in, to show them your raw emotions, your deepest fears, and your greatest hopes. When someone shares their vulnerabilities with you, they are offering you a piece of their soul. And when you accept that piece with respect, you are honoring their trust. Trust grows when vulnerability is met with empathy. When you respond to someone's vulnerability with compassion, when you acknowledge their emotions without judgment, you create a safe space for that person to open up even further. Empathy is the cornerstone of trust. It is the ability to understand another person's feelings, to walk in their shoes, to truly hear them without rushing to fix or advise. When someone feels heard and understood, they feel safe. And safety is the soil in which trust grows. But vulnerability doesn't just build trust with others, it also builds trust within yourself. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you are telling yourself that you are worthy of love, that you are enough, just as you are, that you don't need to hide behind walls or masks. This internal trust is what allows you to show up authentically, without fear of judgment, without fear of rejection. It's the foundation that supports your emotional resilience. When you are emotionally resilient, you can handle the vulnerabilities of others with grace, without taking their emotions personally. You don't crumble when someone shares their deepest fears. Instead, you create space for them to express, and you offer empathy in return. This is the essence of building trust, not by fixing, not by offering solutions, but by simply being present, by holding space for another person's truth. When you show vulnerability, you also invite vulnerability in return. You give others permission to be real with you, and when they do, they feel seen. They feel valued. They feel respected. This mutual exchange is the heart of trust. It's the moment when two people connect on a deeper level, not because they share everything, but because they share what matters most, their humanity. Trust is not about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about accepting each other, flaws and all, and creating a safe space where both people can be themselves, without fear of judgment or rejection. The more you show your true self, the more others will feel comfortable doing the same. And in that vulnerability, trust is born. Trust is also about consistency. When you show up vulnerably, you are inviting others to be vulnerable with you, but vulnerability without consistency can feel unsafe. It's important to follow through on your promises, to be reliable, to show up consistently in your words and actions. This consistency reinforces the trust that vulnerability has created. If someone opens up to you and you dismiss their feelings, or if you betray their trust, you break the connection. But when you honor their vulnerability, you honor the trust they've placed in you. Vulnerability also teaches you to trust yourself. When you share your true feelings, you affirm that your emotions are valid. You no longer rely on external validation to feel worthy. You trust your own heart, your own instincts, your own truth. This self-trust is a powerful foundation for connecting with others. When you are grounded in your own vulnerability, you can hold space for the vulnerabilities of others, and this is where the deepest connections are made. Social masters understand the power of vulnerability in trust building. They show their true selves, not out of neediness, but out of authenticity. They share their fears, their uncertainties, their dreams, and they give others the space to do the same. This mutual exchange of vulnerability creates a bond that is unbreakable. It creates trust that doesn't depend on perfection, but on acceptance. When you build trust through vulnerability, you create a foundation that can withstand anything. It's a foundation that grows stronger with every shared moment, every conversation, every connection. The more you practice vulnerability, the stronger your relationships become. You build trust not by impressing others, but by showing them who you truly are. And when others see your authenticity, they feel safe to be authentic with you. This is the beauty of vulnerability. It allows you to connect with others on a level that transcends words, transcends actions, and transcends surface-level interactions. It connects you to their hearts, and in doing so, it builds trust that is unshakable, unbreakable, and eternal. Chapter 7. The Path to Authentic Leadership. True leadership is not about authority or control. It is about authenticity, about being true to yourself, and guiding others by the example of your own integrity. Authentic leadership begins with self-awareness. You cannot lead others until you know who you are. You cannot inspire trust until you trust yourself. The most powerful leaders are those who are grounded in their own values, who act with clarity, who speak with purpose, and who lead with vulnerability. Authentic leadership is not about being perfect. It is about being real. It's about showing up fully, without the masks, without the pretensions, and without the fear of being judged. Leaders who are authentic are human. They make mistakes, they learn, they grow, and they share those lessons openly. They create a culture of transparency and trust, where others feel safe to do the same. People follow authentic leaders because they see something real in them. They see honesty. They see courage. They see a leader who is not afraid to be vulnerable. They see someone who is willing to be human. even in the face of challenge. Authenticity builds trust, and trust is the foundation of every great relationship, whether personal or professional. To lead authentically, you must first lead yourself. You must be aligned with your values, your beliefs, and your purpose. Without this internal alignment, you cannot expect to inspire alignment in others. Your actions will be inconsistent. Your words will lack conviction. Your presence will lack impact. But when you are aligned with your true self, your leadership becomes magnetic. You don't have to force people to follow you. They will be drawn to you naturally because they trust you. People are attracted to those who are authentic because they feel safe around them. Authentic leaders are not afraid to admit their mistakes, to acknowledge their flaws, and to ask for help when needed. This humility is what makes them strong. It's what makes others want to follow them, because people know that an authentic leader is someone who will stand with them, not above them. Authentic leadership also means being true to your purpose. It means acting with clarity and conviction in everything you do. When you are clear on your purpose, you communicate it with passion, and you inspire others to take action. Purpose is the compass that guides a leader's decisions. It is the driving force that fuels their vision. Without purpose, leadership becomes aimless. But with purpose, leadership becomes a powerful force for change. People follow leaders who have a clear vision, who know where they are going, and who are not afraid to take others with them. To lead authentically, you must also be comfortable with your vulnerabilities. Great leaders do not hide their weaknesses. They embrace them. When you are vulnerable, you show others that you are human. You show them that it's okay to be imperfect. You show them that they don't have to be afraid of making mistakes. This vulnerability creates a deeper connection with others. It allows people to relate to you. It makes them feel seen, heard, and understood. And in that connection, trust deepens. The leader-follower dynamic shifts. Instead of being a top-down hierarchy, it becomes a partnership, built on mutual respect and understanding. Authentic leadership is also about emotional intelligence. It's the ability to understand and manage your own emotions, and to recognize and influence the emotions of others. Emotionally intelligent leaders create environments where people feel valued, where they feel safe to share their thoughts and feelings, and where they feel motivated to contribute to the greater good. Emotional intelligence allows leaders to navigate difficult situations with grace. They can manage conflict without letting emotions escalate. They can inspire others even when times are tough. They can encourage collaboration and teamwork, even when opinions differ. But the most important trait of an authentic leader is their ability to listen. Great leaders don't just speak, they listen. They listen to their teams, to their peers, and to themselves. They listen with empathy, with curiosity, and with a genuine desire to understand. This listening creates a culture of openness, where everyone feels heard and valued. When you listen to others, you not only gain valuable insights, but you also show respect. You show that you care. You show that you value their input. Leaders who don't listen miss opportunities. They miss opportunities to connect, to grow, and to inspire. But when you listen attentively, you build trust. You build rapport. You build a sense of belonging. Authentic leadership also means leading by example. You cannot ask others to do something you are not willing to do yourself. You cannot preach values you do not live by. You cannot demand respect without giving it. When you lead by example, you show others the way. You set the standard for behavior. You demonstrate the qualities you want to see in others. Great leaders do not ask their teams to sacrifice for them. They lead by sacrificing with them. They do not demand loyalty. They earn it. And when loyalty is earned, it becomes unshakable. People follow leaders they respect, leaders who embody the values they promote, leaders who show that they are willing to put the team first. Authentic leadership also requires resilience. Leaders face challenges, setbacks, and obstacles. But authentic leaders do not crumble under pressure. They face adversity with courage, with determination, and with a clear sense of purpose. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from failure, to learn from mistakes, and to keep moving forward. Resilient leaders inspire their teams to do the same. They show that failure is not the end, it is simply part of the journey. And when teams see their leader bounce back from hardship, they learn that they too can overcome anything. Authentic leadership isn't just about being confident. It's about being vulnerable, being real, and showing up with integrity. It's about building relationships based on trust, empathy, and shared values. It's about leading from the heart, not from the ego. Authentic leadership inspires others to step into their own power. It creates a ripple effect, where everyone in the organization feels empowered to lead, to contribute, to be themselves. When you lead authentically, you create a culture of trust, collaboration, and growth. You create an environment where people feel valued, where they feel supported, and where they feel inspired to do their best work. And this is the power of authentic leadership, the power to transform individuals, teams, and organization by simply being true to yourself. Once you understand this, you will never lead the same way again. You will lead with purpose, with passion, and with the knowledge that authenticity is the key to influence. Because true leadership is not about what you do, it's about who you are. Chapter 8. Cultivating Influence Through Compassion. Compassion is the bridge that connects us to the hearts of others. It is the quiet power that transforms ordinary interactions into meaningful relationships. True influence isn't about controlling people, forcing opinions, or pushing for results. True influence comes from a place of understanding, empathy, and genuine care. Compassion is the root of all authentic influence. When you lead with compassion, you lead with your heart. And when you lead with your heart, you inspire trust, respect, and connection. People follow those who care about them. They listen to those who make them feel heard, understood, and valued. They trust those who show kindness, patience, and empathy, not because they have all the answers, but because they are willing to walk alongside others in their struggles. Compassion is not a weakness. It is a strength. It is the ability to show vulnerability, to connect deeply, and to offer support without judgment. When you offer compassion, you open the door to influence. You give others permission to feel, to express themselves, and to trust you with their emotions. The power of compassion lies in its ability to soften hearts. It disarms defensiveness. It calms fears. It heals wounds. When you show compassion, you create an emotional connection that goes beyond words. You speak directly to the soul. You show that you care about the person, not just the outcome of the situation. Influence through compassion doesn't require manipulation or persuasion. It requires authenticity. It requires being present with someone in their moment of need, without an agenda, without expectation. When people feel your genuine care, they begin to trust you. And trust is the foundation of influence. Compassion is the thread that connects us to each other. It is the glue that binds relationships and communities together. Without compassion, communication becomes transactional. With compassion, communication becomes transformative. The first step in cultivating influence through compassion is active listening. When you listen with compassion, you listen with more than your ears. You listen with your heart. You tune into the unspoken words, the emotions beneath the surface. You feel the pain, the joy, the fear, and the hope in the other person's voice. Active listening means giving someone your full attention, without distractions, without judgment. It means being present with them in that moment, acknowledging their feelings and validating their experiences. When you listen with compassion, you show the other person that they matter. You show them that their emotions are important. You show them that they are worthy of being heard. This simple act of listening with compassion can change someone's entire day. It can transform their perspective. It can make them feel seen, heard, and respected. Once you master compassionate listening, you can begin to offer support. But support isn't about fixing someone's problems. It's about being there with them through the process. Compassionate influence doesn't try to make things better right away. It gives space for the other person to express themselves, to work through their emotions, and to process their experiences. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is simply being present, without the need to offer solutions. Sometimes just being there, with empathy, is all that is needed. This is the essence of compassion. It's not about doing for others, but being with them. It's about offering your emotional support without trying to control or change the situation. The beauty of compassionate influence is that it doesn't require perfection. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be real and show that you care. Compassionate leaders don't demand respect. They earn it through their actions. They show up for others when they are needed. They offer encouragement, comfort, and guidance, even when they don't have all the solutions. Influence comes when people know you care about their well-being. When people know you will stand by them through difficult times, they follow you. They trust you. They believe in you. Another powerful aspect of compassion is emotional regulation. When you manage your emotions with compassion, you create an emotionally safe space for others. You set the tone for the interaction. If you react impulsively or emotionally, the situation may escalate, but if you remain calm, grounded, and present, you can diffuse tension and guide the interaction toward a peaceful resolution. Compassionate influence isn't about controlling the situation, but about managing your own emotional energy. You show others that it's okay to feel, but also that it's okay to remain calm, to stay centered, and to navigate emotions without being consumed by them. This emotional stability becomes magnetic. People trust those who remain composed in the face of challenge. They trust those who can handle their own emotions with grace. Compassion also opens the door to vulnerability. When you show compassion to others, you make it safe for them to be vulnerable with you. You show them that it's okay to be human, to have weaknesses, to have struggles. Vulnerability creates a deeper connection. It invites others to share their true selves with you, and in turn, you are able to connect with them on a more authentic level. Compassionate influence fosters an environment where vulnerability is welcomed. People feel comfortable being themselves because they know you won't judge them. You'll support them, you'll listen, you'll walk with them through the process. This connection deepens trust and strengthens relationships. And when trust and relationships are strong, influence follows naturally. In every interaction, compassionate influence creates a ripple effect. You never know how your act of kindness, your gesture of support, your willingness to listen, can change someone's life. Compassion is the invisible thread that ties us all together. It is the foundation of every meaningful connection, every enduring relationship, every successful collaboration. When you lead with compassion, you build trust effortlessly. You become a beacon of support, a safe harbor for others to turn to. And this trust becomes the most powerful tool of influence. The beauty of compassion is that it's contagious. When you show compassion to others, they begin to show it to others in return. It spreads from one person to another, creating a ripple effect of kindness, understanding, and empathy. This ripple effect creates a community of trust, a community where people feel safe to connect, to grow, to contribute, and to share. And in this community, in this space of trust and understanding, you become a leader, not by demanding it, but by cultivating it with compassion. Compassion is the secret ingredient to unlocking true influence. It creates a bond between people that cannot be broken by challenges, misunderstandings, or disagreements. Because when people feel valued, when they feel supported, when they feel heard, they follow, they trust, they believe in you, and they will go where you lead. Chapter 9. The Role of Trust in Leadership. Trust is the foundation of leadership. Without it, no one will follow you. Without it, no one will listen to you. Without it, your leadership will crumble before it even begins. Trust is the invisible thread that connects a leader to their followers. It is the bedrock on which everything else is built. Respect, influence, and impact. Leaders who earn trust are the ones who inspire loyalty. They are the ones who have the power to move people, to guide them, to shape them. But without trust, leadership is just a title. Trust is not given easily. It is earned through consistency, integrity, and authenticity. You cannot demand trust. You cannot force it. You cannot manipulate it. You can only earn it by being who you say you are. The moment you break trust, everything falls apart. One lie, one betrayal, one broken promise can shatter everything you've worked for. But when trust is present, everything is possible. With trust, a team can overcome anything. With trust, a leader can inspire their followers to do extraordinary things. So how do you build trust as a leader? It begins with self-awareness. Before you can expect others to trust you, you must first trust yourself. You must be confident in who you are, in your values, and in your decisions. Self-trust is the foundation of all external trust. When you trust yourself, you radiate confidence. People can feel your steadiness, your clarity, your reliability, and when people feel this from you, they begin to trust you too. But self-trust is not just about confidence. It's about consistency. You must show up every day as the person you say you are. You must make decisions that align with your values and take actions that reflect your integrity. When people see you live your truth consistently, they begin to trust you. They begin to feel safe around you. They begin to believe in you. Authenticity is the next key to building trust. People can tell when you're being real, and they can tell when you're pretending. Leaders who are authentic don't hide behind facades. They don't try to be someone they're not. They don't put on a mask to please others. Authenticity creates connection. It creates relatability. It creates safety. People follow leaders who are real with them, who are transparent, who are willing to show their true selves, flaws and all. When you show vulnerability, you show humanity. And humanity builds trust. Because people trust those who are not afraid to be human, who admit their mistakes, who ask for help when needed, and who are willing to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a strength. It is the ability to expose your emotions, to share your struggles, to reveal your fears. When you show vulnerability, you give others permission to do the same. You create an environment where honesty thrives. This openness invites trust. When people know they can be themselves around you, they feel safe to follow your lead. But trust is not built in a single moment. It is built over time, through small actions, consistent behaviors, and intentional decisions. You build trust by doing what you say you'll do, by keeping your promises, by following through on your commitments. When you say one thing and do another, you break trust. When your words don't align with your actions, you create doubt. People watch what you do, not just what you say. And when your actions match your words, you build trust one step at a time. One of the most powerful ways to build trust is through empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's the ability to see the world through someone else's eyes, to feel their pain, to understand their perspective. Leaders who are empathetic create environments where people feel understood. They make people feel safe to share their thoughts, their ideas, their concerns. Empathy builds trust because it shows that you care. It shows that you are not just leading from a place of power, but from a place of understanding and compassion. Empathy also requires active listening. When you listen to someone with empathy, you validate their feelings. You let them know that their thoughts matter, that their emotions are important, that their voice is heard. This listening creates connection. It creates rapport. It builds trust. But trust is also built through emotional stability. As a leader, you must be emotionally grounded. You cannot afford to let your emotions control you. If you react impulsively, if you let anger, frustration, or fear guide your decisions, you break trust. People will question your ability to lead, to make sound decisions, to stay calm under pressure. But when you remain steady, when you stay grounded in the midst of chaos, people will trust you more. They will rely on you. They will look to you for guidance. Emotional stability is the cornerstone of trust. When people see that you can handle your emotions, they know they can trust you to lead them through difficult situations. Trust is also built through respect. Respect for others. respect for their time, respect for their opinions, respect for their boundaries. Respect is the foundation of all healthy relationships, and it is especially important in leadership. When you respect others, they respect you in return. When you value their input, they value your leadership. When you listen to their needs, they trust you to have their best interests at heart. And when people feel respected, they feel safe, they feel comfortable, they feel heard, and they trust you to guide them. Trust is a gift, and it is one that must be earned every day. You earn trust through consistency, authenticity, vulnerability, empathy, and emotional stability. You earn trust by showing up, by being real, by doing the hard work, and by making the tough decisions. But trust is not just about you as a leader. It's about the environment you create for your team. It's about fostering a culture of trust within your organization. When trust is present, people collaborate. They communicate. They innovate. They support each other. They succeed together. And when trust is broken, everything falls apart. But when you nurture trust, it grows stronger. It creates a foundation that no challenge can break. As a leader, your role is to build and protect trust, because trust is the key to everything. It is the key to influence, to loyalty, to success. When trust is present, people follow you without question. When trust is absent, people follow you only out of obligation. So build trust, earn it every day, and watch how it transforms your leadership, your relationships, and your world. Chapter 10. Leading with Integrity, the heart of true leadership. Integrity is the cornerstone of leadership. Without it, everything else falls apart. A leader without integrity is like a house built on sand. No matter how impressive the structure appears, it will crumble under pressure, unchanged by the winds of challenge. But a leader with integrity stands firm, the storms of doubt or the temptations of compromise. Integrity is the quality that defines a true leader. It is the inner alignment between one's words, actions, and values. When a leader acts with integrity, reliable, they are trustworthy. It's manipulation and respected. Leadership without integrity is not leadership. True leaders inspire and guide through honesty, consistency, and authenticity. Integrity isn't a single act, it's a way of life. It's the ability to consistently do what is right, even when no one is watching, even when it's difficult, even when it costs you something. Integrity is the foundation of trust. When you act with integrity, people believe in you. They trust you to do what you say you will, to make decisions that reflect your core values, and to lead with a moral compass that remains steady. No matter the situation, trust is the currency of leadership. Without it, a leader has no influence. Without trust, a leader has no followers. But when integrity is present, trust flourishes. A leader who is honest builds credibility. One of the key principles of integrity is honesty. They create an environment where people feel safe to speak their truth, to share their thoughts, and to express their concerns. Honesty means telling the truth, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it risks your reputation. True leaders understand that their actions speak louder than words. They lead by example. They show others the importance of integrity by living it themselves. People follow because they see consistency in their actions. When a leader walks their talk, integrity also means doing the right thing when no one is watching. It's easy to be honest when the spotlight is on you. It's easy to make ethical decisions when everyone is watching. But integrity is truly tested in the moments when no one else knows. True leaders don't seek applause for their ethical choices. They do what's right because it's the right thing to do. They make decisions based on values, not on convenience or personal gain. This level of integrity builds lasting trust. People don't trust leaders who bend the truth to serve their own interests. People trust leaders who stick to their principles, who stand firm in the face of pressure. Integrity also requires consistency, even when it's uncomfortable, and who are transparent about their decisions. A leader must be consistent in their values, their actions, and their decisions. People need to know that what they see is what they will get. People don't know where they stand. They don't know what to expect. A leader who is inconsistent breeds doubt, and they can't trust a leader who changes with the wind, who consistently follows through on their promises, but a leader who consistently upholds their values, who consistently demonstrates integrity, gains the respect and loyalty of their team. Integrity also means holding yourself accountable. A leader with integrity takes responsibility for their actions, their mistakes, and their decisions. They don't shift blame. They don't make excuses. And they don't play the victim. They own their mistakes, learn from them. This accountability creates a culture of trust and respect, and grow. They model humility. When leaders are willing to admit when they're wrong, they foster a growth mindset, and they show others that it's okay to make mistakes. Integrity also requires courage. It's easy to do what's popular. It's hard to do what's right. It takes courage to make decisions that align with your values, even when those decisions are difficult. It takes courage to lead with authenticity. It takes courage to stand up for what you believe in, even when it means going against the grain, to be vulnerable and to show your true self, even in the face of criticism or rejection. A leader who acts with integrity is not afraid of adversity, knowing that their integrity is their greatest strength. They face challenges head-on with courage and conviction. Integrity also means having a strong moral compass. A leader with integrity is guided by values, not by the opinions of others. They don't let external pressures sway their decisions. They trust their own judgment, and they make decisions that align with their core beliefs. This moral clarity gives them the confidence to lead, who know what they believe. People are drawn to leaders who know where they stand and who make decisions based on those principles. When a leader leads with integrity, they become a beacon of light for others. They inspire trust, and they inspire others to act with integrity themselves. They inspire respect. It's about the small, everyday actions. But integrity is not just about the big decisions. It's about being consistent in your behavior, your words, and your attitude. Every interaction is an opportunity to demonstrate integrity. Every decision is an opportunity to reinforce trust. Every challenge is an opportunity to show resilience and moral clarity. Leaders with integrity also empower others. They lead by example. They inspire by their actions. And they encourage others to live with the same integrity. An authentic leader builds a culture of integrity within their team. They create an environment where everyone feels responsible for doing the right thing, for holding themselves accountable, and for acting with honesty and respect. Integrity is the glue that holds strong teams together. It creates a sense of shared values, shared purpose, and shared responsibility. When integrity is present, relationships are built on trust. Decisions are made based on values, not convenience. And the organization thrives because everyone is aligned. Integrity also means leading with a sense of justice. A leader who acts with integrity ensures fairness in all their decisions. They treat others with respect. They acknowledge their mistakes, and they make amends when necessary. True leadership is not about being the boss. It's about being the example. It's about showing others what it means to be a person of integrity and inspiring them to lead with the same values. As you step into the role of a leader, ask yourself, even when it's difficult, are you willing to lead with integrity? Are you willing to make decisions that reflect your values, even when they are not popular? Are you willing to stand firm in your beliefs, even when the world tries to pull you in a different direction? Because when you lead with integrity, you don't just lead, you inspire, you transform, you create a legacy that lasts. Integrity is the heart of true leadership. And when you lead with integrity, you don't just lead others, you lead yourself, and you become a beacon of authenticity, respect, and trust in the world.